What's going on, guys? OddManMC back at you with another episode today in Minecraft, and today I'm going to show you how to make some custom trees. Throughout this video, we're going to be making 3 different types of custom trees. These are, again, just trees that I enjoy making, and maybe you could even try them in your own world. I've got 2 smaller boxes over here that are all divided out by 3x3 spaces all around, and then the bigger one over there is divided out by 5x5 spaces between the cobblestone. So if you want to take a quick screenshot of this right now so you can see it, go ahead, but I'm going to move on with the video. So for all of my tree designs, I'm going to be using a mixture of these blocks: the oak log, oak wood, which is basically just 4 oak logs in a crafting table to get no open sides, the oak slab, oak fence gate, and then I wanted to try out the flowering azalea leaves and the regular azalea leaves. Normally I like to stick with whatever wood type I'm using or mix spruce in with the oak for leaves, but I wanted to try these out because I have not gotten a chance to really mess with the 1.17 blocks much. So for this first tree, we're going to make tall, skinny trees, and I learned this as a build trick from Whip here on YouTube, where basically you just build this up by, let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, let's do 11. So we got some tall boys right there, and we're just going to build out kind of some different patterns of branches with these oak fences just kind of going around like that, and we'll put one more down here. And then what you're going to want to do is just take your leaves of whatever kind you're using, and we're just going to dot them around. So one here on the top and then on the side, and once you kind of get these in place, you can kind of start taking them out and seeing where they look really good and where maybe there is too much or where you just want to add more to it. So like the back side of this was looking a little lonely, so we're going to add some extra leaves here and just kind of dot them around. And again, the one thing I like about trees is that they're not terribly difficult, and as long as you are kind of keeping an eye on the symmetry of them, they look pretty good, and I'm actually really happy with how this turned out. So let's actually go back through and add in some flowering azalea leaves, and I like the look of this. This is I think this is going to be one of my favorite blocks that they've added to the game next to spruce wood, because I'm imagining what this would look like with spruce wood on it. So that is not too bad. We got a tall, skinny tree just using the oak fence and some extra leaves. So I'm going to build a couple smaller ones next to it, and then we'll build up the next tree. And there we go. I made it a little smaller one. This one was not as tall, but I love the fact that I had this kind of covered in leaves, and then I took out leaves as we went, and I love the fact that you can still see the oak fences because it kind of gives more of a tree vibe with it. And again, I'm really liking these azalea leaves. They're looking super good. So yeah, all right, let's move on to the next tree. So for this next tree, it's going to be a little bit bigger than these trees over here, but I'm going to start here dead center of this space, and I'm just going to build up by, let's say, 4, and then I'm going to dot around some different blocks of different heights around this, like so. I'm going to bring this up by 1, maybe this up by 2, and then 3, and there we go. I think that's looking pretty good. And the next thing I'm going to want to do is just kind of bring this up some varying heights. And again, I took a little bit of inspiration from Whip and Mythical Sausage and even Pixel Riffs on this, because when they build custom mountains, they kind of do them more organically to where there's no rhyme or reason with building these up. So when I'm building trees, I like to do the same thing, to where it's sometimes up by 1, sometimes it's up by 2, and it kind of goes up like this. So I think this is actually a really good size, and I'm going to branch it out from this side just a tiny bit, deleting blocks as I go, just kind of seeing what I think looks really good. And we'll bring out another block this way, and sometimes I like leaving the extra oak blocks like this, but I'm going to just take some of them out. And I think overall I'm really happy with how this looks. So what I like to do after that is go in with the oak wood and just place them in to where there isn't any open areas. Sometimes I like to come in with the like spruce trap doors of some sort and just kind of cover up these areas. But again, you can do whatever you want. This is just what I like to do, and sometimes you might even see that you like something even more than before. So I'm going to finish getting these kind of squared away, and then I will show you guys in a second. All right, there we go. They are all covered up. There is no open faces like you see on the oak log like that. They're all nice and smooth. The next thing I want to do is kind of give the idea of roots coming out. So what I'm going to do is kind of build out from this basin of the tree, and sometimes you could even put in some slabs in there just to kind of add the kind of idea that it's curved and it's going down, and I like to even add those on top as we go, but we'll get to that part in a second. But I like to build out like there's just some roots in the ground, just kind of adds a little bit more detail to the build, and it looks like that. Next, what I can do is again take the oak slabs and kind of add some curves to it. You can do this with oak stairs as well, and I even like coming in with the oak fences because it kind of just gives a little bit more of a curve. And I missed one right there, little sneaky guy. We'll add the slab there, slab here. Let's add the oak fence there, and you could even go in with the oak fence gates like so, and then just kind of open them up like this. Again, doesn't always look the greatest, or like that. Oh, I like that actually. So we'll actually do that, and then we'll come in with some more slabs up here just to kind of add. And I don't want to put too much up top because my leaves are going to be up there, but overall that's looking good. And you could also come in with your fences and just kind of hang them down just a tiny bit. And I like to hang lanterns for my trees this way. You don't have to do this, but I really like kind of the look and varying the length and the heights of everything because it kind of gives you a little bit more play with the rest of the build. And I'll add a stair right there, not a stair, a fence right there, and then we're gonna go through and add the leaves. So when adding the leaves, I don't want to go too crazy, so I'm just going to go by going off the top of these, and because I have slabs in there, it's not going to cover the entire top, which is okay, because again, we're not going for 100% accurate, but we want this to look as organic as possible. And then once I kind of have the tops covered, I like to go around the edges of these trees and kind of build out the leaves a little bit and kind of start developing the canopy of a tree, building out just like so. And any kind of exposed wood you can see, you can kind of cover up. I'm going to leave that slab there because I do like the look of that. And I don't mind seeing the edge of wood like this from time to time, but overall, that's looking pretty good. And I don't want to cover up that fence, so we'll do that like so. And you can kind of build out a little bit. If it's looking a little bare, you can kind of build out like there's branches that you can't see a little bit. Just kind of out the edges like so. We'll go here and around, bringing it out a bit. It should be just fine, and you can add more leaves in there, kind of like what they have on top of regular trees over there that don't really serve much except for extra detail. And we'll build it out like that. I'm really liking these azalea leaves though. They're looking really, really good. Just like so. And I think overall, yeah, that slab's gonna go just because you can't really see. It's not really serving much of a purpose. I think that's looking pretty good. And then what I like to do is just kind of like the fences, I like to bring these leaves down just a little bit, kind of like jungle trees or willow trees that you see in real life. Just kind of add some variant to the height a little bit and just kind of build them around like so and give them their own texture. That's kind of like what I'm going for, and I think that's looking actually pretty good. And come through and delete blocks that you might not think look really good, like maybe it's looking too blocky or anything like that, so it kind of rounds the edge off. And I think we can add one right there, bring that down one more, and then we can just go through and texture the leaves then with the azalea flowers. And there we go, our medium-sized custom tree is now decorated and has some texture. I'm going to take out that block. It was kind of bothering me a little bit. So next I would come through and I would just put lanterns in, but I'm going to do that off camera as we move on to the next tree because I think that's kind of self-explanatory. But I'll show you guys at the end what this looks like. And if you wanted to actually decorate a little bit around the bottom of the tree, like there's some leaves that fell, that's even better, adds even more decoration to the build and just kind of adds so much more. I actually really like that. So that's how I do kind of like my medium-sized trees. I've done these in a couple of videos before. If I remember, I'll put one up in the top right corner where I built some of these. But now we're going to build on to the bigger tree and kind of how I go about that kind of process. So for the bigger trees, I like to kind of start a very similar way that I do with my medium trees, but I like to start in a kind of circular kind of pattern and make it a little bit more organic as much as possible. And sometimes you can even take out some of these blocks so that way it looks a little bit different. So I like to start with kind of like a larger, what is it called? A tree stump, I think is what they're called, and just kind of play around with that. And then once I like that, I'm going to build up a couple levels like so, and then come in with just some temporary blocks and kind of build another shape going in a more organic area around it. So I don't want to stick to the same pattern, but I want to kind of build it up in a different way, and then I can come back through and take out these other upward facing blocks so I don't have to see the oak faces as much. But we kind of take this idea and then we start just building it up and taking blocks out as we need to, and kind of just going in that kind of a pattern. So I'm going to play around with this a little bit and I'll kind of show you as I go just how that process is going. So I'm hoping it showed up, but in a little bit of a time lapse I showed how I was building this up, and I started kind of branching the tree out this way just to kind of give it a little bit more organic look. And again, some blocks I might just have to delete, but then I can add in different blocks and kind of make it look like it's kind of leaning this way. And I'm really liking how this is looking. So once I get this to a certain height that I like, so let's build it up like a little bit more, kind of just going in this direction. I'm kind of working on a rule of like 3, where I place 3 and I build up, place 3 and build up. Just a little trick that I've done before. You don't have to use it, but again, it works for me. I call it just the rule of 3. But I'm going to build this up a little bit, and then I'm going to start kind of branching out from a certain area. So let's say that I like it at this height, so I'm just going to kind of build up this way and kind of add in my extra little blocks to kind of add a little bit more structure, but also just a little bit more kind of organicness to that. And the tree just looks a lot thicker as we go too. So I like that, and I like this little bend here, but I'm going to take that down one more, and I think we could easily build up just a little bit more going this way. And I might run into that tree a little bit, which is okay. I'm just going to go up like that. And it kind of incorporates a little bit of the medium tree into it, but I really like the fact that these branches look so organic and they look really good. So then the next thing would be to just add the leaves, kind of like what we did with the medium tree, just starting at the very tops of these blocks and kind of going through, and then adding in our extra stuff like our slabs, fences, fence gates, and a couple other things. So I'm going to go ahead and do that because it's basically the same process we did with the medium tree, and I'll show you guys in a second. And there we go. Our extra large tree is looking pretty good. There's a little bit more exposed wood on this side, which I didn't mind, just because sometimes that happens on trees where, you know, leaves get blown away. But overall, I think this is looking pretty good. I did bring some more fences down because I wanted to show you guys what this would look like if you added some extra details. So I grabbed the lantern and I grabbed some vines, and we're going to decorate the big tree and the medium tree just to kind of see. And then I'm going to throw some shaders on so you can see what it looks like when I have shaders on. You might not have shaders in your world, which is okay, but I think it adds just another depth of just vibrance to the game, and I really like using them. So I'm going to pop on and do that right now. And boom. I love shaders so much. I love using them to see what my builds look like, and with these custom trees, I think they just add so much more vibrance to it, and you get a little bit of the reflection of the sun, and it just looks so organic. I just love it. So that is all I have for trees right now. But if you guys had a favorite tree that I designed or showed you guys throughout the video, comment down below. I'd love to hear from it. And if you have a favorite wood type for building trees or anything in Minecraft, please comment that as well. Mr. Enderman off to the left is zooming around super fast. But yeah, I had a lot of fun building trees. They're one of my favorite things to build, just organically and just making them look pretty. I just think this turned out really good. I'm really happy with this. That Enderman was just behind me. I think you guys saw those particles. That was kind of creepy. Oh, he's zooming around. Anyway, I am out of time for the day, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, if you had a favorite part of the video or favorite thing that I designed out of these trees, please let me know in the comments down below. But if you like this video, please consider liking the video and subscribing if you want to see more. I love doing little tutorials like this where I can kind of just use whatever knowledge that I think I have, because again, I'm not an expert at building. I just like sharing what I like to do in the game with you guys and seeing if somebody learns something from it. So I'm gonna get on out here, guys. I will see you in the next one, but always remember, the most important thing is to be odd and wash your hands. Peace, guys.